to schedule business for the rest of the week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. Honorable members, we had reordered the order paper, but now we can go back to order number 9 because we had already dispensed with order number 8. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Report on the consideration of the draft Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Remuneration and Benefit of State and Other Public Officers Regulations 2022. Resumption of debate.
The Honorable, so we shall resume debate. I have on the list the Honorable Member for Kadiani, Honorable Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to also contribute on the report of the Departmental Committee on Delegated Legislation that is dealing with regulations brought to it through the SRC, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Madam Speaker, I want to just quote a few things. First, Chapter 15 of the Constitution, Article 248 identifies that there are 10 commissions and 2 independent offices. Then Article 249, Part 2 states that the commissions and holders of independent offices are A, subject only to this Constitution and the law, and B, are independent and not subject to direction or control by any body or authority. Madam Speaker, none of the commissions is supposed to be a prefect of the others. But, Madam Speaker, when this committee met with the Judicial Service Commission, the Teacher Service Commission, Parliamentary Service Commission, and the Public Service Commission, they all complained of meddling in their own affairs by the SRC. So, Madam Speaker, it is important to note that the Constitution is very clear about each and every one of them and the mandate that is given to them. Madam Speaker, when these commissions were being formed, I think we needed to have asked ourselves in 2010 whether each of them really needed to be full-time. Because, Madam Speaker, what happens is that when you form a commission and the job that they are given or the responsibilities are not enough, then they will start interfering and getting involved in other commissions and other, state corporations. So, Madam Speaker, I think maybe we needed to ask ourselves whether even SRC needed to remain as a full-time commission, because maybe that is the idle time that they're getting is what is making them start meddling. Madam Speaker, on the general functions and the powers of commissions and independent offices, Article 252D states as follows, that they may perform any roles assigned to them by the Constitution or through legislation. Madam Speaker, as a Member of Parliament, the commission that represents us is the Parliamentary Service Commission. And it has been mandated by Article 127, Part 6A, to deal with matters of member services and facilities. It is very unfortunate that SRC has continuously encroached on the roles and responsibilities of the Parliamentary Service Commission and tried to usurp its roles. So, Madam Speaker, it's important that we figure out how do we deal with this monster called SRC. Article 234A sets the roles and regulations of SRC. And it states as follows, Madam Speaker, that they are supposed to set and regularly review remuneration and benefits of state officers. B, they are supposed to advise the national and county governments on the remuneration and benefits of all other public officers. But while doing this, Part 5 is very clear. They must follow the following principles. A, they must check whether the wage bill is sustainable. B, they make sure that the pay that is being given to these public officers and state officers is attractive enough or competitive enough to attract people or workers to the public sector. C, recognize productivity and performance. And D, have transparency and fairness. Madam Speaker, it is very shocking to note that the Judicial Service Commission members or state officers get salaries that are increased on an annual basis. But Parliamentary Service Commission state officers get stagnant pay. So why is that transparent? Is that fair? Why do you treat one state officer different from another? But let me say, I thank God for the provisions of the SRC Act that compels them as SRC to present any regulations to this House before they can be acted upon, unlike all other state corporations and all other implementing bodies. Now, the Statutory Instruments Act, which is what governs or guides the operations of the Committee of Delegated Legislation, is very clear about public participation. Madam Speaker, when making subsidiary legislation, all these commissions are complaining that there were, even if there was any invitations, their views were not taken into consideration. That obviously means you cannot say there is public participation when you call drivers, bodyguards, and they sign attendance sheets, and you don't get to deal with the matters that are brought to the commission. So I think when it comes to public participation, I believe that there was not adequate public participation that was carried out by this body. But then, Madam Speaker, finally, I want to say that the SRC somehow believes that in operating or carrying out their responsibilities, they have to find a way of reducing or cutting salaries down to size. It is very unfortunate that when we are going through inflation, there is a body that sits down there and figures out how to reduce. And Madam Speaker, it is not just reducing salaries. When you deal with other mandates of other commissions and affect allowances of other state officers, obviously you're reducing their buying power and therefore creating a situation where they are unable to carry out their responsibilities as they were able to before. And you cannot do that at a time when the prices of unga have gone up, the prices of petrol have gone up. It is unfortunate, and I think that this SRC needs to be stopped. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I support the committee.